Question is the address in reply to the Governor's opening speech. I call the member for Blue Mountains.
Yeah. Mr. Speaker, as I rise to give my inaugural speech, may I congratulate the other newly elected members who join me in this, the 55th Parliament of New South Wales. Yeah. As I stand here today, I feel overwhelming humility and honour on being elected the 7th and the first female member of the Blue Mountains. Yeah. In this historic first term of the O'Farrell-led Liberal and National Coalition government. In this respect, I acknowledge the previous member for the Blue Mountains, the Honourable Phil Koperberg. On the day I moved into the electorate office, he was very gracious and visited, wishing me well. We had a smooth transition thanks to Phil's honourable stand in keeping the interests of the Blue Mountains electorate and constituents to the fore. For this, I give him my sincere gratitude and wish him well in his new endeavours as Chair of the State Emergency Management Committee, a position to which he is eminently qualified. I believe that the person I am today is the result of the sum total of my life experiences. Real life experience and skills from someone who has been connected with the community for a long time give me a good understanding of what my community wants and what they expect of their elected representative. My story begins with my parents. My parents came to Australia separately from war-torn Europe, from Hungary, as displaced persons. They were fleeing the ultimate failed socialist experiment, communism. They met and married in Australia and had myself and my sister, who is in the audience from Queensland. Welcome. They met, we've done that. My father passed away a few years ago, but he and my mother always expressed their gratitude and thanks for coming to such a wonderful, free country and became proud Australians. My parents were hard workers, a quality I learned from them. My mother had come to Australia with her parents and siblings. My grandfather was a hairdresser and barber, a trade he taught my mother. They owned a hairdressing shop in Petersham and saved enough money to buy a small farm in Riverstone. Some of my earliest memories were staying at my grandfather's farm. My dad had many jobs, from cane cutting in North Queensland and carpentry in Alice Springs before he married, and he also worked on the construction of the Sydney Opera House, believe it or not. But he always dreamed of farming. My parents bought a hairdressing shop of their own in Marrickville. This is where I started my school life, Marrickville West Public School, the home of bitumen playgrounds. After a few years, they saved enough money to buy a large acreage in southeast Queensland at Carbrook, where my father fulfilled his dream of running his own farm. Moving from inner city Sydney to the wide expanse of country living was a defining period in my life. I thrived. I loved the bush and the space to this day. This is why I love living in the Blue Mountains. I attended a small country school which had grass in the playground, Redland Bay State School on the beautiful Moreton Bay. I excelled at school thanks to the influence of some very inspirational teachers. Inspirational and dedicated teaching staff, I believe, make all the difference to lifetime learning. Then I went to Cleveland and District State High School, an hour's bus trip away. I did well at high school and was the recipient of a Commonwealth Scholarship. I take time here to acknowledge the dedication that the teachers in the Blue Mountains electorate have. My electorate is in fact the highest, or has in fact the highest number of teachers in the whole of the state. Since childhood, I had always been fascinated by science and especially the workings of the human body, so I had set my goal to do something in the medical sphere. A chance appointment with the visiting school careers advisor steered my thinking to studying dentistry. And dentistry is what I was accepted into at the University of Queensland, a choice I never regretted. I relished the academic rigours that university and dental school offered. Then it was a full-time 5-year course. Then, as now, I believe that a love of learning and exploring life keeps the mind sharp and life interesting. Then, as now, I always do my utmost. I give my full energies to every task I undertake. This promise I give to the people of the Blue Mountains. Whilst at uni, I met my first husband, also a dental student at the time. The opportunity to secure our dental careers in the Defence Forces through the Undergraduate Defence Forces Scholarship was available, so we joined the Royal Australian Air Force. After graduation, we were posted to RAF Richmond, and then I was posted to Operational Command Glenbrook as officer in charge of Medical Dental Unit. My time in the RAF was another defining period in my life's journey. I was able to hone my skills as a dental practitioner, as well as learn discipline, order and duty. When you have served in the Defence Forces, you share a special bond with others who have served, of another way of life. It is the RAF that brought me to the mountains, but it was the lifestyle and the surrounds that made me stay. I left the RAF as I was having my first child. In those days, it was an all or none deal. You worked full-time or you were out. On leaving the RAF, we bought a house at Mount Riverview where I lived for the next 18.5 years. I worked on a casual basis as a dentist in local private dental practices, including the practice in Springwood, which we were later to buy. My husband and I bought the Springwood practice in 1988 during the recession we had to have. Tragically, not long after, my husband unexpectedly passed away. I was left with 2 little girls, a dental practice to run, a home-based model railway business, and a very hefty provisional tax bill. I overcame these adversities with the help of my wonderful family in Sydney, my Uncle Frank and Aunt Roza, and my church family. I know what it is like to be a single mum. I know what it takes to build a small business. I know how to manage finances, all qualities and skills which give me a good grounding for my new vocation. Yes. A little while after, the new love of my life entered the picture. Ted and I were married in 1991, and 2 years later I had my 3rd beautiful daughter, Isabel. I soon discovered I had married another train tragic. Sorry, Ted Reid, rail enthusiast. Now, for the last 22 years, I have been practising dentistry in Springwood. As such, I have a particular interest in health issues, and particularly dental health, to which I look forward to contributing. To my previous patients, I am sorry that you have lost a dentist, as I will now be committing my full-time career in this new role. However, my new office is always open to anyone in need of assistance. For those members not familiar with the Blue Mountains, it is a unique area, not rural nor metropolitan, I believe a unique region in its own right. The Blue Mountains electorate takes in most of the city of the Blue Mountains, stretching from Mount Tomah to Blaxland. Indeed, the Premier announced that entry to the Mount Tomah Botanic Gardens is now free, a promise delivered in the first weeks of the Liberal National Government, of which I am proud to be part of. This is encouraging news for the community and local tourism. The Blue Mountains is a city within a national park, indeed part of the World Heritage listed Greater Blue Mountains National Park. It is a place of great natural beauty, of rare flora being the home of the Wallamai pine. It also has a long history of Aboriginal occupation, the custody of the Darug and the Gundungurra peoples, an area also steeped in colonial history. Who has not heard of the crossings of the Blue Mountains by Blaxton, Lawson and Wentworth in 1813? The crossing was an event that opened the new colony to the Central West and ultimately the development of the rest of Australia. Subsequently, William Cox was commissioned to build a road over the mountains, which was completed in 1815 by convict labour in a period of 6 months. A fact often brought to my attention by Blue Mountains residents when comparing the upgrade of the Great Western Highway, which has taken decades. I would like to bring to the attention of the Parliament that the bicentenary of the crossings of the Blue Mountains will occur in 2013. Preparations for events have already started with a dedicated and enthusiastic team. I'm very excited to be the member at this time.